Welcome to Deepnight Revelation. I almost said Pirates of Gen X, but we did that Wednesday night. Pirates of Gen X is Wednesday night, and Deepnight Revelation is tonight. We will be picking up where we left off a couple weeks ago. We had a bit of a week off there due to travel plans and all sorts of stuff. And so we'll be picking up 2 weeks off. And it's not going to be a direct pickup because you guys finished that last one, and we're just going to move on. And I've got some cool stuff planned for you guys. But if you remember last episode, they got to the harrowing problem of solar flares while they were doing wilderness refueling, and so. That was nail biting, and there were some quick pilot rolls to be made, and they thankfully were able to succeed in getting through all of that, and they have since moved on. They are still following. The Erline Worlds have sent out ships ahead of them to assist in refueling endeavors, trying to get them to a point where they can cross the Great Rift. And they are being led towards a subsector-sized chunk of space that is simply known as Best Prospect. And the Erline have agreed that that is their best opportunity for crossing. And on the way there, they do know that from the computer cores that they took from the Citadel that they beat up on, that they are suspecting that the Erline homeworld is actually on the way, and the Erline, they've been they know nothing about their homeworld. None of their species have been at their homeworld for 3,000 years, something around that kind of time frame. So a lot of their history has been lost because their people have been fragmented. Some of the colonies just faded out, and some became the sovereigndoms, and then some more became the Erline Worlds. And so both the Erline Worlds and the Sovereigndoms are a bit excited about the prospect of seeing their original homeworld and maybe learning more about their people. Before we get started, we would like to thank one of the friends of the Greenwater Guildhall. None of these are sponsorships or partnerships of any kind. They are just products that we really like. Tonight we'd like to thank the Speechless Bard. She makes leather products for your tabletop role-playing games, such as leather covers for your core rulebook. She's got, if you like to show off your geeky side, she has a line of leather bracelets with the dice shapes cut out on them, and they can be customized in all manner of things. She has this other cool thing called the Spell Compendium that is it's a box that looks like a spell book, and inside the box is bifurcated, so on one side it could hold, like, say, your spell cards, and on the other you can use as a rolling tray. And on the inside cover she has a magnetic spell tracker, so you can track your spell slots. Handy for those people playing D&D or old school essentials or anything like that. If you are going to order, and this is especially true if it is a gift idea, simply because a lot of times that is a time-sensitive situation, it is recommended that you do so early because she is over in the UK, and so it can take a little bit of time to cross over and get over here and make it through customs and all of that. We also have a merch store via Zazzle. Lots of really cool stuff on there. There is t-shirts and hoodies and buttons, and there's a beer stein, and I'm actually looking now, and this came out of necessity. I'm thinking I'm going to add some customized whiskey rocks glasses, because this was last week, I was washing my favorite rocks glass, and because I was washing it was slippery with soap, it just fell right out of my hand and shattered in the sink, and I was sad. And then one of my second favorite rocks glasses, I was sipping it Wednesday night as I was waiting for the uploads for the videos to finish, and I out of the corner of my eye, the light caught it just right, and I looked at it, and I'm like, there's a hairline fracture, and it's almost all the way through one side of the glass. I'm like, all right, that's going in the garbage. So now I'm down two. I'm like, you know what? I have the power. I'm just going to go ahead and make some customized rocks glasses. So those may be going up. And 100% of the proceeds from that Zazzle store goes directly back into our channel. It helps us pay for things like Incarnate, which made the map that you're looking at here today. Also, it helps us pay for a Roll20 Pro subscription. And so, all the little things that add up, and by the end of the month, you've spent $5.99 here and $9.99 there, and another $4.99 over here, and then you look and you're like, how did I spend $30? How did this all add up? This is ridiculous. So it helps us kind of offset that. So if you want to help out, go over to our Zazzle store and get yourself a beer stein, and here in the very near future, a Whiskey Rocks glass. So, as I said, where you left off, you guys had some harrowing adventures of learning about wilderness refueling and what it is that your crew pilots go through every time you guys come out of jump and have to go and siphon, suck hydrogen off of a gas giant. And it ain't easy, is basically the lesson learned from that. But you did, and not to mention the fact, I mean, this was a little bit harder even than that, because you had a intense solar flare activity going on, and so that made things rather adventurous, to say the least. I mean, your the ship took a little bit of damage, and yeah, it was a hair puller. This map that you are looking at, you are in jump, and we're just going to say this is probably like the first day or two that you're in jump. So you still got a long week to go. And this map that you're looking at is a portion of the mission module pod on Deepnight Revelation. And this would be part of Deck 2. So most of what is on Deck 2 mission module pod is there are these two, I wouldn't necessarily say they're large, but there are these two cargo bays. These cargo bays, unlike some of the others, they don't have access to the outside of the ship. And so any cargo that is stored here has to come through the main line, down through the center of the ship, and stowed in here. So a lot of the stuff that's stowed in here is going to be, food, sundry supplies for the crew, just knick-knack stuff that is going to be able to be used immediately. Ammunition. Also, in this section of the ship, there of course are these are staterooms. In fact, your guys' staterooms are probably in here too. There are a couple of staterooms that do offer double occupancy for the few couples that are aboard. So that, this isn't as much of a military ship as it used to be. And then up here, you of course have armories. There are 4 armories towards the fore of the module, and part of the issue with when they remodeled the interior and remodel, I guess that's not a remodel. I guess it was converted over from being a military ship, and so some of these modules, they were either gutted because they were surplus from the Navy, or they're just nothing about them was going to serve the purpose, and so the interior of these modular pods had to be rearranged. And because of the military nature of this particular class of vessel, not everything fit exactly as intended, and so you have some spaces, and these are designated hull crawl space. And so because of this rebuilding of the interior, you ended up with these little hull crawl spaces that kind of go in between walls, or might create a small air gap between the hull and the interior of the ship. And very, very quickly after launch, the crew started actually probably happened before launch, probably happened while you were still in dry dock. Crew was using these little hull crawl spaces to stash um, contraband. And it's really hard to call it contraband because I mean it's not like they were stashing. I mean there might be some drugs in there. Who knows? But it's mostly stuff like uh, you know Regina whiskey and Denebian cigars and just the comforts of home. And they're stashing this stuff in there, and that is really the beginnings of the black market that formed on the ship. In addition to the hull crawl spaces and living quarters and whatnot, there are also these recreation spaces. There are a couple of gyms. There are some areas with hot tubs and soaking pools, and there's like this area up here that you are currently in is a kind of a, I guess, cantina type club. At least it's become that. There's a pool table in there. It was originally a gaming space, but I figured, the still probably had to go somewhere, and this is as good a place as any. There is, of course, another one down here, and this one is more of a kind of a officer's lounge kind of thing. Right now, it is most commonly taken up with Imperial officers that are aboard, and their ilk. They tend to kind of hang out down there. But the one that you are currently in is a free for all. Everybody comes here. Now your homemade hooch, your still, is. You guys spent some real time and effort, and you really you backed it up with some actual real world science, and so your stuff is pretty good. Yours is probably not the only still on a ship out of 500 people, and multiple divisions. I doubt that it would be the only one, and so there are others of varying qualities, and a lot of that hooch also ends up filtering into the black market. And the other thing that happened last session is that you were told that there was a problem with the black market, and until now, the black market it's not like the command crew or the bridge division and you guys, the command crew didn't know that the black market was going on, and that the captain and XO kind of took a light touch to it. Because the reality is that no society, especially one so far from everything that you know, is going to survive without some kind of pressure release valve. And the black market serves that function. And this is really true in any city in America. The black market becomes a problem when it spills over too much. But a little bit keeps everybody happy. And so until now, it hasn't been an issue, and really, it's not an issue that it's spilled over. It's an issue that somebody is hoarding, and you guys talk to what's this guy's name? His name is you talk to Albrin Moss. Yes, Albrin Moss, who is essentially known around the ship as being. How did they put it? They put it as succinctly as possible. They describe him as somewhat of a mystery, but the mystery is that how he could have been included in the crew at all. He's kind of sleazy, a little bit charming. So he's charming on the sleazy side. And he's one of the individuals that he's basically your typical logistics officer. He knows how to get almost anything for the right price. And the right price, of course, on a ship like Revelation, since money doesn't mean anything anymore, the right price would be essentially trading favors. I mean, I guess money money might mean something if for when he gets back, and he's probably going to have a nice nest egg when he gets back. But you guys
Covering
planted.
shifts.
Sorry, what was that?
Covering shifts. There's a lot of things like that that can also be.
Right, covering shifts, or if you go planet side, pick me up something, or things like that. So this guy, you kind of nonchalantly passed along, just as not as command crew, but as crew, that you had heard that the bridge crew and the executive officers, if this glut doesn't fix itself and the black market resume to a point where it was, that they were basically they were going to come in and they were going to raid all of these crawl spaces and take everything for themselves, and then pass it out equally amongst the crew, and that would pretty much squash the black market. And so, of course, that has mildly started to fix itself. So there are there are some items that are kind of filtering back out, but it's still not to where it was. And as far as how long Revelation has been going, at this point, we're looking at almost 6 years. And what is coming up has both an awe-inspiring effect on the crew, and it has a bit of a depressing effect on the crew, because when you guys are going to get to the rift, you're going to look out those windows or look on your sensor monitors, and you're going to see nothing but black. You're not going to see a whole bunch of stars in the sky with the hope of being able to jump to one of them. You're going to see a lot of black with maybe a single dot over here and a single dot over there. And that is a really sobering realization for most of the crew. And morale has kind of dipped a bit. Overall, you are seeing that there is a morale drop. But there is plenty of off-duties time. And so you guys, as the crew, are currently in this little gaming lounge area. And Mel and Dr. Bocephus are teamed up playing a game of pool with a crew member named Genevieve Ambray and another crew member who she's teamed up with named Avon Treskel. And so to tell you about Genevieve, you guys, I mean, a lot of these people you see passing them in the halls. You've probably worked with a couple of them a number of times. Genevieve is a member of the Mission Division, so she is really directly under your command. And she was selected to be on the voyage because she is solid, dependable, and dedicated crew member. And for the most part, she has been living up to that. It has been only recently she's gone through a couple of patches of calling in late, or for duty, or just acting disaffected and a little bit homesick. But so far, she hasn't really crossed the line too much into being a problem. I mean, everybody has a bout of sickness or homesickness. Avon, you don't know a whole lot about. I mean, you've probably worked with him a number of times, but the guy has one of those looks of, I mean, what can only be described as an NPC. He's one of those people that looks just like all the other people, and he kind of fades into the background. And that's kind of what Avon has done. He's not necessarily good or bad at his job. He apparently is doing his job well. When you looked up his crew report, it come to find out you've worked with him a number of times, and this is really the first time you've ever had a chance to really talk to him. And so he is teamed up. Yvonne is teamed up with Genevieve playing pool against you guys. Pappy, you are Pappy. Do you have the steward skill, Mister Pappy?
Let's find out. I had accidentally put my mic on push to talk, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. Steward. No.
Okay, so Pappy. So one of the things about this, these machines against the back wall are actually repurposed vending machines. It's kind of like an arcade that's been set to free to play. They are filled with your standard meal packs. Some of these meal packs are things that you have gone out onto a planet and actually caught. So there might be dino ribs, but these are basically made into meal packs with the workshops aboard, and they are then sealed and made as they're essentially MREs that are you just put what you want and it spits it out, and then there's a small cooking area here for you to make it. So Babby's over here making himself something to eat, and he doesn't have stewards, so he's carefully reading the directions on the back of the package. And I so I always look at this and I'm like, so if you don't have stewards, you can't cook, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Everybody can cook. No, that's not true. I do know people that could burn top ramen. No shit, they could ruin it. But and that's just boiling the water.
Full disclosure, I messed up ramen once.
Yeah, I was gonna say they could burn the water before they even put the noodles in. So I do know those people. So he's over here cooking something, and sort of you're kind of sitting here watching the pool game, and it is.
Yep. No, I am training steward, but that's fine.
Oh,
yeah,
well, I mean, if you want to go over and grab a meal pack and make some gourmet shit,
but no,
you certainly can.
I'm happy to watch.
You want to walk over and be like, you're doing it wrong.
Yes, you just walk over and be like, yeah, that's not how you do that, and then turn around and walk away.
At this point, everybody's just mixing shit together.
Right. Yes.
Try something new.
Yes. Let's see if ranch dressing goes well as a mixer with, homemade whiskey.
I was putting ranch dressing on rice pilaf after.
It's red hot. I put that shit on everything.
Yeah, I was a river guide, and we had the exact same menu every single day, and I would work, 17 days straight, and so after a while, you're just trying different combinations of the exact same food to try to find something new.
Yes. Yeah, my buddy and I used to go out on the river for 14 days straight, and I mean, we would pre-pack, and what we did is we would cook up a whole bunch of meals, and then we would put them into seal meal bags and vacuum seal them, and we would freeze them, and then you line the bottom of your cooler with it, and that way it both acts as ice and you've got frozen meals, and then you just dump the whole thing into boiling water. And
we had 120 rafters cycling through every single day. It was
right, and well. Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't matter how many days of cooking you do; it's never going to be enough. You sooner or later, you're like, I'm really sick of eating this.
Well, the thing is that we did corporate. Ours was a corporate guided trip that included full food, so we catered it all. We did all the cooking. So, but it was the exact same meals every single day, and so after a while, we, the staff, would start, trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, how can you make it more interesting?
Yeah.
You West Coasters ruin everything to do with water.
Why would rafting ruin water?
It's not supposed to be fucking work. You float down the river.
Well, I on my days off I would float. Plus, we would go. 2 a.m. rafting by full moonlight while on mushrooms. I mean, it was.
Jesus!
We were not taking the average. Not everybody was taking the trips we were taking down that river.
By trip, you mean trip.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'll go join the pool game. Yes, check that pool game out.
So during this pool game, you kind of step over, and Mel, you can go ahead and make an athletics dexterity check. I'll say that it is your turn.
Oh, this is not going to bode well. Oh, this is going to be grim.
Do I have the heckle skill?
That might be a
Yeah,
part of carouse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not that bad.
That can't be right. I have no skill in it. And it shows no skill, so I should have got. Where's the deduct on
Oh,
that?
it
Oh,
added
no,
the
you
3.
You rolled 10, and then it subtracted 3 from that.
Huh,
It
okay.
looks like it added the 3.
No, it subtracted it.
Well, anyways, so
It's plus -3.
so you missed the shot.
I mean, it looks like 2d6 plus -3. I missed them. All right.
So you missed the shot, but not terribly. And in the doing alternating between the teams, the next person to shoot is going to be Genevieve, and she. That's pretty good, but so just as she's going to take her shot, she's got it lined up, and she's going to sink the 8-ball. Last shot to win the game. And out of the corner of his eye, Avon sees Sarda kind of taking an interest, and he turns and bumps her elbow with his pool cue and makes her miss. And she goes off like somebody lit the fuse on dynamite. She explodes on him and takes her pool cue and smashes it down on the table. Like, just completely blows this out of proportion. And, is, oh, this looks different. Okay, hold on. Nope. Okay, I got it. And so there is this full, like, just about to be a full-on brawl between Genevieve and Avon. What do you guys want to do?
Just sort of say, I don't think that's necessary over a pool game, right? I mean, this is supposed to be fun.
Go ahead and make a persuade plus social check.
Sure.
Or if you want to make this like if you want to be in a more official capacity, you can be a leadership plus social check.
Although it would be
Really, because I was thinking maybe hitting somebody from the fucking from the bridge crew is probably not a good idea for your career.
Yeah, that could. Yeah, that. So with an 8, you
I gotta turn all these dice options off now.
Oh right. So with your 8, you kind of you're like, hey, what the hell? That is completely unnecessary. And she calms down and she just looks at you and says, "May I be dismissed?"
I mean, it's you're not here on an official capacity, right?
No, this is everybody's off hours, or yeah.
I'll just say you're off. You can do whatever you want.
And so she takes off and heads to her crew quarters. About that time,
do I know from past experience that she drinks? I'm just trying gift wise, trying to think of something.
No. Go ahead and make an admin plus intellect or education check.
Sure. 9.
Okay, so in addition to, you knew that so she was hired on as part of the crew as being a pretty steadfast, dedicated, solid crew member. But in the past couple of weeks, she has become disaffected, homesick, and it has crossed over a couple of times into becoming morose, argumentative, and difficult to get along with. There is a report that she was recently talked to by this woman. Oh, evidently I didn't give a name. Hold on. Her name is. She was talked to by Lieutenant Major Jana Arekia. And basically, it wasn't anything. It wasn't an official talking to, but it was enough that Arekia had put it into her security log. Arekia is the security advisor aboard the ship, and she put in that she broke up an argument between Genevieve Ambray and one of the other crew members that basically it turned into poisonous venting about a wide range of things, including command decisions, shipboard practices, particular types of stars that she believes that they should have investigated, the layout of the hangar bays. Basically, just bitching and moaning. And normally, Arekia puts into her log that normally this wouldn't be a big deal. She feels that a certain amount of venting is good. That alleviates the problem, or at least is another pressure release valve that prevents it from becoming a real issue. The problem is that when the other person's had enough of the venting and wanted to go back to drinking or whatever it was that they were doing, she continued kind of launching into a nasty attack that ended up her launching into a nasty attack of a deck plate near her cabin that had tripped her, and because it wasn't properly sealed down, which then led her to smashing the deck plate with a large item, and then taking it out on, verbally on one of the engineering crew. And so she did get a write-up, but Arekia still claims in her logs that it's really not that big of a thing. And it was right about that time that this door opens and Arekia steps in. And she is there just in time for Genevieve to make her way out.
All right, make sure there's no elbows thrown in that scene.
Yes, no, I mean you kind of you did a perfect job of alleviating that. Well, it's like Jack said, probably be a bad idea for her to crack one of you with a pool cue, considering that you are part of the command staff.
So in terms of when this started, obviously there's been problems, but I mean, did we have? Was I able to identify an inciting event, or?
Well, you could ask. I mean, since
she just walked in the room, so I could ask her.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to talk to Lieutenant.
Yeah, I'll ask her. I'll say, it seems like there's been some problems since, now I'm forgetting her name. Damn it.
Jana Arekia. So what you know about Jana is that she served in the military of her actual homeworld, and she had actually gotten to the rank of lieutenant major, which she has held on to, joining up with Deepnight Revelation. That would normally place her as like the equivalent of like a senior captain in most other forces. The and that's kind of where they put her. But the problem is that she's not the lead from the front kind of person of the position that they put her into. And everything that you know about her is that she's much more of an analyst and an advisor. Right. And so she is in a lead security leadership position, but for the most part, what she does is she advises the security captains and whatnot on situations. So she is really a really good person to talk to about this.
Right.
But she may not be the person to go to as far as rectifying the problem, because She can give advice, but she's not really the go-getter to go take care of it. But she
All right,
tells you that she has noted, and it's not just Genevieve specifically. She has noted that there's been a number of, or higher than usual number of scuffles and arguments, and there was one downright brawl in the hangar bay that security had to break up. Higher than normal over the last, she would say, last 3 jumps.
and that's just in general crew, or is that a specific group of people, or
No, just general crew. And she said that she actually she says she thinks she knows where you're going with this. She kind of looked into the backgrounds of some of these people, and none of them seem to have any history of being a problem.
Jesus, are they all
It's
junkies?
drugs,
now?
I say. They can't get their drugs.
Well, that's
this is the problem with Out West. We keep playing with Out West when these situations keep coming up that are perfectly addressed to his character.
well, Wes. Well, I would still give him an 8. So, in Wes's psychologist medical opinion, and Dr. Bocephus brings up that it is very likely. He basically tells you, you guys are aware of things that Bocephus has done here in the recent past to kind of give the crew something to do. Like, for instance, I think he set up a boxing league in one of the cargo decks. He has at one point, I think he set up a dodgeball match, and that kind of devolved into another game, and he didn't change it. He just let them go because it was giving the crew something to do, and they enjoyed doing it. You could do all sorts of these things, but it's never going to change the fact that everybody has been stuck on a tin can in space for 6 years without the comforts of home, and really, the realization it gets more and more taxing every jump because they know that means it's going to take that much longer to get home. And so sooner or later you start running into a chronic fatigue syndrome.
Sure. What I was talking about was the fact that he would be great at identifying where those people that were all customers of a black market that is now no longer selling.
Right. Yes, that's true.
That's really what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he just pipes in and tells you, this looks to him like symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, or CFS, as the Imperial Medical the Imperial Medical Society would call it.
Right. And I know I implemented a program where people can choose a completely different job.
That's true.
Yeah. So cross train or actually take part in. And I've been doing that. It's been doing taking a shift as a steward every.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
so those types of things try to help with this, but
you guys have staved it off for a long, long, long time. But and see, now I forgot her name. Jana, Lieutenant Major Irekia, she brings up the problem with the black market, and she says, items are starting to come back on the black market, and she says, but and she says, she puts up answers. I personally don't partake, but I do. I've kept my ear to the ground, and I can tell you that a lot of the items that were brought from charted space with us are starting to dry up. And so those are being replaced with some items that either, there's still in engineering, for instance. So there is varying degrees of booze that is available. She says it's the stuff that she tried was good for either cleaning out air intakes on your ship or for killing brain cells. But she
I mean, the ship itself's got like a 10 forward, right? I mean, there is an actual official bar, right?
There are. I mean, there's numerous recreate. I think there. I think.
I mean, these guys are all making moonshine, but I'm assuming that we can all. I mean, still get access to booze.
So there is. I thought there was an officers' lounge. It just says officers. Officers. Let me look at a more detailed. Yeah, there probably is some kind of officers' lounge. But for the most part, these are broken up into various recreation areas that are across the ship.
Oh, not right.
All right. Well, it sounds like we need time on a planet where people can really cut loose for a bit.
And she fully agrees. She asks you. She says do you want me to go and have a discussion with Genevieve about her behavior? She said I could do it either in an official capacity or maybe just as a friend.
I think Genevieve has an assignment that doesn't agree with her personality. And so I am thinking of an assignment that may be more suitable and make her happier. However, I want to make sure that if I reassign her, we don't create a gap in terms of her current duties. But what I'm thinking of is this is a very long trip. We're facing problems we haven't thought of. And so I think it'd be a good idea for us to pick people from different areas of the ship that have different levels of specialty, and their entire job is to brainstorm about long-term problems that we haven't thought of and how to address them. And I think she would be perfect to head that team up. And I think it would work better with her capabilities. However, I don't want to create a vacuum by assigning her and leaving her job undone.
Mel, you can make a broker plus intellect or education check.
Would you like?
Perfect. So Mel knows, in this conversation, coming back to some of the stuff that Lieutenant Major Arekia is bringing up about the black market. Mel, you know that she does indeed speak the truth about the stores from Charted Space, kind of getting more or less eaten up in this length of time. There's still some of the comforts of home that are still remaining, but for the most part, a large portion of what's being doled out on the black market, in addition to, inter jump drive fermentation systems, is also stuff that has been found on some of the planets that you visited. There was one team that brought back some plants that they claim to have tested. What the process of their testing was is in question, but evidently smoking this stuff can get you pretty messed up. So there's some of that that's getting filtered onto the black market. And then there's some other things that are just ridiculous. Like there was an animal on one planet that they caught, a bunch of crew members caught several of them, and basically turned them into furry slippers that are very popular with crew members. And so those have kind of gone on the black market. But the reason why they're on the black market is because they didn't have any kind of authority to actually kill those creatures. And so they're much sought after. They apparently are very, very soft and silky smooth slippers, but it would be probably frowned upon at the very least by the command division.
Sounds like something for our doctor to start cloning.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was thinking. How do we farm those things?
See our dolphin with a giant rack of mink clones.
Right. I'll put these right up here, right next to the monkeys that I keep trying to implant memories into and killing on accident.
I miss Wes.
Yes, I know, right? Oh God, my God.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So she agrees with you. That sounds like a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Okay. And so, yep. So we'll, and so the so the thing is, then it is a matter of, well, is there a suitable replacement? Can we juggle her around without problems? Once we make that certain that's clear, I'd want to talk to her. Pitch it, see if she's interested.
Okay.
So if we think we can move her duty, if we think that if we think people can pick up the slack where she's currently at, then yeah.
Okay.
I'll pitch to her.
So yeah, I mean, she is part of the mission division. She's kind of for the mission division. She's kind of been a catch-all, but looking through her service file, you note that for one reason or another, she was not selected for like the last 2 or 3 ground away missions that you've done. And, I think like the last, going back a ways, the last time that she spent any time planet side was during the festivities that turned into a planetary civil war back with the Alakaya. So does
it look like does that look like it's just happenstance, or did she choose not to go down, or
it was just lottery. She just her name just didn't come up. The last operation that she did take part in.
Maybe we should cycle those
going
forward.
I think that's a big thing for HR to look at, is who hasn't been down.
You guys are HR.
Check when's the last time you've been down?
So the last operation that she did take part in, this last operation, working on one of the boats during the refueling operations. And I mean, you guys were a part of that operation too, so you are well aware of the high stress that was a part of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sorry, I just gotta. Wondering if this is. Oh, it's nothing. So, yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, that was a high stress situation, and maybe that has caused her to boil over. And I mean, literally, you're talking about something that happened 2 days ago. So,
sure.
Maybe she's still a little wigged out from dodging them solar rays.
Fair enough.
She wasn't driving.
No, she wasn't driving, but she was part of the crew. You had part of your team was in the back, patching up holes and operating the cargo tanks, and she was part of that crew. She was just as likely to get cooked in that little endeavor as anybody else, or getting crushed in atmospheric depths. So it's high stress. So Pappy, you finish your dino. You're cooking your dino ribs. Is Pappy with us?
It looks he's logged in, but he's muted.
Yeah. Mr. Pappy. Well, we'll wait for him to come back. So
I can see Discord's muted, so I don't know if that's. if he's
I
trying.
know
different-
there was somebody talking to him in the background, so
Gotcha.
he may still be dealing with that. So from this point, where would you guys like to go? What would you like to do? Well, CFS tells you that he is going to. He thinks this is another good time for him to go back to his offices, and he's going to start scheduling counseling sessions again for these crew. And the first one he's putting on the docket is Genevieve Ambray. He thinks that she needs to tell him more about her mother and, you know, how her brother didn't treat her right, and
Right.
et cetera,
Well,
et cetera.
at some point, I want to talk to her about the possibility of that position. Or
Okay.
just a different person.
Well, you know that her crew quarters is right over here. You could head over that way.
So I will go and I will knock on the door of her crew quarters.
So actually, some of these doors
I
didn't
will
come
go
out.
all the way around here and knock on the door.
Yeah. This is the door into this section, and
I see it now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, some of these, I chose poorly for my.
It's all right. Fancy maps get tricky.
Yes. So you head over that direction. Mel, what would you like to do? I mean, there are workout areas. There's at least 2 workout areas. There's one down here, one up here. Over in this cargo bay, you know that there is a small shrine that is set up. In fact, there was a bit of a crew committee. And this shrine is basically consisting of items that from races or places that you'd been. And there was one location where there was an entire city that they were I believe they were threatened by the Deepnight entity, and they went underground and then just ended up dying out. And so some of their stuff is there. But in addition to that, there are any crew members that have been lost. Some of their items have been memorialized. Sometimes it's a picture, something that they usually owned. And so that is back here in this corner of this cargo bay.
Well, since I'm I've been on this ship, but I'm relatively new. I'm going to go check that out.
Okay.
Is there anything are there any messages or little notes on these memorials of some of the people that have been acting out from the voyage sickness? Do they need grief counseling?
That's a good question. So the first thing that you see coming in, this gentleman is, what is his name? You have seen, this is another one of those crew members. You've seen him around. His name is Jacobus Maines, and he is basically a career spacer. He was a spacer before, not military, but he's worked for a number of corporations. He's worked for a number of private firms, and it's basically what he's done his entire life. Unfortunately for him, he's been unlucky in that, and he's had virtually nothing to show for it. And so he's a good hardworking, diligent, and one of those, you tell him to do something and he does it. But it just seems like he never gets ahead. This guy, on the other hand, his name is Yusuf Holland, and Yusuf is basically known to be highly competent and is a driven expert in a number of fields. and he's kind of risen to a level of prominence amongst the science division. But um, he that also led to him getting kind of a leadership role, and he is one of those who he has what they call a corporate alpha personality, and he expects everybody of lower rank than him to hop to and do exactly what he says, and he's just a constant pain in the ass. And so you come into the cargo hold, heading towards this little shrine, and you can see that Yusef is standing over here, basically berating Jacobus. Um, Not that Jacobus is really doing anything wrong. It's just that he's not moving these containers fast enough to get to the one that Yusuf needs for whatever his division is doing. In the back here, there is a young lady named Rex Delvan, and she's basically she's been given the nickname around the ship as the curator, and she has taken this shrine to an entirely new level. She has been reprimanded a couple of times because some of the items that she has taken for some of the fallen crew members that she has decided to put in reverence in the shrine were things like, oh, there's a bioscanner. Well, that belongs to the ship. That was a piece of equipment that was assigned to them. That wasn't theirs, so she got reprimanded for that. A knife. There was a sidearm at one point that was supposed to be put back into the armory. She's kind of taken this to a little bit of a obsessive weird level, and she spends much of her free time at the shrine, kind of cleaning things, rearranging things. But as far as your question as to whether there is anything here pertaining to anybody in this current, kerfluffle, no. There there are a couple of items here that are there. There is a photo of oh man, now I got to find their names. The ill-fated couple. Hold on, I'm getting to it. There was a couple that was aboard that basically had the infamous trailer park relationship, and she, even though everybody aboard is mandated to be on birth control, she got pregnant because she thought that would somehow fix her relationship, and it became a whole big thing. Both of them ended up dying in a terrible, terrible accident on one of the early planets that they explored. She was killed in an accident, and he found out that she died and ended it himself. And so there is a photo up there, and as you approach, Rex Delvan is there, kind of cleaning and kind of touching that photo, and she's just kind of whispering under her breath like she's talking to them, kind of thing. Not that she's getting answers, but you know how people are at like a gravesite or something like that.
Okay. I have no skill in talking someone down from Cloud Cuckoo Land.
They've basically taken to calling this corner of this this one cargo hold as they're just calling it the museum.
Her name is Rakes, is that right?
Yes.
So, Rakes, how long you been working down here?
She kind of jumps a little bit. I mean, she acts like she's back here all by herself, even though there's Yusuf being an asshole over here, and he's not really quiet about it. And she jumps like she's over here in her own little world, and she turns. She goes, "What? Oh, it's just something that I do, on my free time. It's, I think it's really important that we remember."
Okay, remember, hit the push to talk. Uh, and all of your free time is spent down here.
She said, "Well, I mean, um, somebody has to do it. Go ahead and make a. You can make a recon plus. I'll just give it recon plus intellect check. Okay, it is your suspicion that it is very likely, in addition to this museum that is here in an official capacity, an official, unofficial capacity, that she may actually have her own private little memorial shrine somewhere.
I'm not even sure how to process that.
If you ever get vaporized, your big toe might end up in her possession at one of these museums.
Okay, well,
That's important knowledge. That means we need to maybe make her in charge of being the historian for this trip.
I was thinking about finding at least one of the ship's shrinks and saying you might need to have several sessions with her.
You need lots and lots of help. Yeah, I mean,
It seems like it's gone to the point of obsession as opposed to even a remotely healthy outlet for your free time.
yes, that would be. I mean, she says, "Well, I mean, I do spend a lot of time down." She goes, "Really? You think I'm obsessed?"
Well, I do think that maybe if you don't mind some additional duties as the historian of this trip, that might be another avenue to memorialize these people without obsessing over inanimate objects. The memory is more important than the object.
Go ahead and make a persuasion plus social check, and you get a +2 to that. You phrased that very well. In fact, it almost makes me worried that you may have had to deal with somebody like this in real life once or twice.
Well,
Yeah.
but this is not going to be a good roll for me. Persuasion, it's a plus what?
You get an additional +2 to that.
But social, you said?
Yes.
Oh, fuck me. Okay, here it goes. +2. Oh, fuck.
So
This did not go well.
So she goes, "Oh, the captain would never go for that. I'm sure that there are people in the science division that are far more, they're far more into that than I am. She's actually a member of the flight division. She also was a part of that refueling op, and she was the pilot on one of those refueling missions. She is." Overall, that she is not very well regarded in a professional capacity, and that she underperforms on most occasions. Most of the time, she barely is scraping by as a pilot. I mean, it's kind of like the pilot who, you fly on a commercial airline, and come to find out the pilot has the absolute minimum number of flight hours required in order to get their pilot's license. It's the same thing as going to the doctor. What do you call a doctor who got all D's in college? Doctor.
Right.
So, yeah, she is significantly compared to Pappy, she would significantly underperform.
I don't think we want our refueling missions.
Yeah, she might need a break from that.
Yeah, I mean, even the look, the look on her face isn't even. I mean, she looks like she looks
Well,
like she's drawn like she's under stress here.
so she didn't think the captain would go for it. So step one is get the captain to get on board with giving her maybe some historian duties as opposed to obsessing over inanimate objects. And then I failed to persuade her. So time to call in people who are professionals and say she
Yeah.
might need some talking to.
Professional
maybe
persuaders.
Well, and then try to figure out. I mean, is she a bad pilot at the moment because she's distracted, or is she just a bad pilot in general? Needs to be reassigned somewhere. That's the real issue.
Uh, yeah. I mean, Mel, you can make an admin plus intellect check, or admin plus intellect or education, your choice.
Clearly, it's going to be education.
Because you're edumacated.
Oh my god!
Well,
Damn.
I mean, for an admin role like this, I mean, all you needed was a routine. So 7 will get it. You just needed a 6 plus. So you pretty much, I mean, looking over her service jacket, she's met the bare minimum qualifications on every flight assignment she's ever been given. Most of the time, she underperforms compared to other pilots.
Okay.
She is most certainly, and pretty much the command crew already knows this. She has never been selected as, a pilot for, say, like a standby rescue mission because nobody really trusts her with that.
Makes sense.
And it's been that way since she got hired on. But for the most part, the Deep Night LIC needed they did their best to try and get the best of the best and the cream of the crop. That didn't always work out for them because at the end of the day, sometimes there's just not enough applicants with those kinds of certifications, and you just need warm bodies. And so, what's a corporation to do? Usually, those would be the first that would end up in a layoff. But, I mean, you get laid off on Revelation, and that means you're sucking vacuum.
Right. Well, I mean, what it comes down to is she happy being a pilot? If she's not, is there another job that she'd like to retrain for? If she is, then what do we need to do to help her improve? And so I think that's really the approach we got to take.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, Mel. I mean, sounds like you've got a direction to kind of lean in. Talk to the captain. At the next meeting on the bridge, and kind of, maybe rearrange her life a little bit. Pappy, are you back with us?
That sounds like a plan.
I am back.
There you are. So, Pappy, you have finished cooking and eating your meal.
Didn't burn the ramen.
You didn't burn the ramen. I mean, I would think that Pappy is adequate enough at reading the directions on the back of the foil that you can boil water and make your dino ribs.
Fly spacecraft, I could boil water.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, although you'd be shocked, and like I told my wife the other day, some of the dumbest people I've ever met were doctors. So, don't ever say never. But where would you like to go? This is a gym. These, of course, if you wanted to get some rack time, these, of course, are your crew quarters. I would think. Well, I mean, you can pick one. It doesn't matter. These are jacuzzis. There's a jacuzzi down here. Wait, did I? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. So yeah, there's a number of places you could
I mean, I feel like I've established that Pappy has a little bit of that like old school Captain Kirkness, like where the women is.
go. Yes, you do.
So, I think I'll try the jacuzzis and see what's going on over there.
Okay. So you're heading down to this one down all the way at the bottom.
As well.
Okay. So
I just head over there and see what's going on. Just poke my head in. How y'all doing?
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. So you come into this recreation area, which is essentially it's got a big jacuzzi tub, and there's a soaking pool, and then there is a line of showers over here, real water showers, not just sonic showers like you don't normally get in your in your quarters. These are real water showers.
Ooh.
With, massaging shower heads, the whole 9 yards. The other one is just a jacuzzi tub and a soaking pool. In here, I need to open yet another book. There are two people in here. The first, you don't have a whole lot of information on this guy, because you haven't really had to deal with him too much. But he is known amongst the crew simply as the Space Wizard. His name is actually David Anderreich. And you know that Bocephus and Sarda ran into him early on in Revelation's mission. They ran into him on... was it Homestead? I think it was Homestead. And he's called the Space Wizard because when they met him, it was out in the middle of the desert. And they stopped some bandits from looting this farm. And he came out and kind of negotiated on the behalf of the bandits. And everything turned out okay. And they offered him a ride back to town, and he said no, he was fine, and he just took off walking off into the desert. No vehicle, no spaceship, and so they left, and then somehow
we jumped 4 systems.
Yeah, they jumped four systems, and he had got there ahead of them, and he was at some dinner function, and so he claims that he has arcane knowledge. And when asked directly if he's a wizard, he says no, he's a sorcerer. And that, but they've checked him out. He doesn't appear to be psionic in any way. They're not sure what the deal is with him. I believe Sarda tried to read his thoughts, and
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, he tried to read his thoughts, and instead of the normal mental connection, he got an image of like a black star system with a kaleidoscope of colors and a vortex void kind of thing, and that kind of freaked him out. So he hasn't really wanted to read his mind again. But so he's sitting there in the tub, and I mean, aside from the fact that he's a little bit freaky, he seems nice enough, and he's been helpful on a number of occasions. In the tub with him, what did I say her name? Is another crew member. Niam McCabe. And Niam, from just scuttlebutt. Rumor has it around the crew that she was selected to go on this mission because she had a brush with the Deepnight entity herself. Now, this is one of the reasons. This is a prime reason why Sarda and Bocephus are on this mission. They were selected for this mission because they had not one, but 2 direct encounters with the Deepnight entity. And so they were automatically chosen for this mission. She was part of a 3rd incident that she does not like to talk about. It is, and you know, that's just the rumor going around.
One of those, just, I had a bad experience and I ain't gonna talk about it.
Well, make a recon plus intellect check.
Okay. Since I can't pop the character sheet out, give me a second while it loads here.
Okay.
Recon, intellect. Uyakasha.
Okay, so when you come into this wreck area, you kind of interrupt. They're the only two people in here, and there's you're kind of like you look at David Andre. He's still wearing his wizard hat, but other than that, he's not wearing anything, and he's got like the gray chest hair, and he's got the not the dad bod, but the granddad bod. There's gray hair like everywhere. And he's sitting in the tub, and she's wearing, a bikini kind of thing, sitting in the tub. And you interrupt a conversation where she was kind of talking to him about it, and the part that you interrupted, she was telling him that she survived, but her encounter, but none of her crewmates did.
Huh. So the space wizard is counseling her or something, or like trying to kind of help her out?
So the space wizard, his response is like, oh, that is very, very tragic. It's very tragic. And he sees you come in and he goes, oh, Pappy, I don't believe we have met.
Wait, but how you know my name?
Oh, I know many things. Many things. Yeah. Put on or don't some swim trunks and join us in this nice tub. And she
We're
seems
gonna do a 50-50 roll on whether or not I put on swim trunks. I do.
she as soon as she sees you, she kind of clams up. Yes.
That is a good start.
So yeah, she kind of clams up. She doesn't really know you that well. I mean, you've seen each other, of course, passing each other, but you haven't had any direct interaction. She is actually a part of the mission division as well. And what you know about her is that she is kind of focused on the mission division's scientific stuff. So she has eyes on stuff before it gets sent to the science division, specifically some of the more unusual and extreme things that you guys might find. It ends up going across her desk first.
So maybe I'll ask her just about any fun information lately. I guess come across anything fun or interesting lately? Worth a story?
I didn't expect you to ask that. So she does bring up. So she goes over some of the stuff about the Furbolg, the Stone Age Furbolg on the Dino planet that you not too long ago ran across.
That was my first game, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yes. And she brings up that she's been studying the link between them and the Bronze Age Furbolgs, of which you have 2 on your crew now. And she is trying. She says there's an obvious genetic link between the 2. What she has found is that there is a slight variation in their genetic makeup. Perhaps that the Bronze Age Furbolg have not necessarily evolved, but came first in a situation, while the Stone Age Furbolg seem newer, not necessarily primordial, but newer, younger. And she finds it very interesting, and she still has. There was in neither case was there a sign of a starship crash or anything else. She's beginning to suspect that they were forcibly moved there.
That's problematic.
Well, she
It's
says
one thing if they crash there, but
well, I mean, she says the ancients have done that kind of thing. We know that the ancients have done that. For instance, humans, the Volani humans, which most people in the Imperium are Volani, are slightly different than the Soleimani humans, or slightly different from the Jodani humans. But all of them came from standard humans found on Earth, and that they were basically taken from their home and planted elsewhere. She thinks that that may be a similar type of situation. She also cites, the droin versus the chirpers versus the tic-tics, where there are three races of essentially the same kind of species. She says actually the droin to chirper to tic-tic might be an even better analogy. They're very closely related, she believes.
okay. And just to kind of keep the conversation inclusive, I'll look over at the Space Wizard and be like, have you ever encountered any of those? Because he didn't come down on the planet for the Bronze Age or the Stone Age ones, did he?
He did come down for the Bronze Age ones.
Okay.
And so he says, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. They did seem to be, from the research that I have looked at, it seems that they were very closely related, and you cannot deny the genetic link. But beyond that, I couldn't begin to speculate. There's a number of possibilities throughout the universe, some that elude the scientists.
So he considers himself a scientist. So he's considered himself a scientist, or more of a
No, no, he will pointedly say that if you ask are you a wizard, he'll say yes. Well, actually, I'm a sorcerer, and he's quite sincere about this.
Then I will ask him, what does sorcery say that science does not?
Says, anybody can be a sorcerer. And he says, all you have to do is read the texts.
Then I will refer back to the lady instead and be like, you got any guesses on why it happened that way?
So a lot of the reason why David Anderreich is on this mission and agreed to it is that so he goes out, or did go out throughout charted space, basically searching for lost or arcane grimoires and knowledge. And he ended up in the Trojan Reach, and he found some, but it was much drier well than what he was hoping for. And so eventually, when he ran into these guys, he agreed to join the mission because he was hoping that he's going to be able to find more lost knowledge on this mission than ever before.
Where means to an end for him.
Well, I mean, scratch his back, he scratches yours. That everybody's got everybody's got multiple reasons for being on this mission.
Okay, cool. All right.
For some, it's just a paycheck.
Fair. For me, it was an escape.
Right. Exactly. And that
Alright.
story is a common thread throughout the ship as well.
Do I know anything positive about this woman? I can kind of maybe hey, by the way, heard you did well in this such and such a thing. Just kind of want to just want to give you a pat on the back for that, a proverbial pat on the back for that.
So, she so do you have admin?
I believe I do. Let me double check my character sheet. I have admin, yes.
You can make an admin plus intellect or education check.
I don't know nothing.
Well, I mean, again, it's a routine check. 6 gets it. So 6 plus is routine. You know that she studied pretty intensely. So one of the missions, and this was before your time with us, but one of the missions that Sarda and Bocephus were on, they found a marker on a world, and there was a droid base there. And in this droid base, they found that this scientist had essentially he had allowed himself to get infected by the Deep Night entity, and then and then basically enshrined himself in a time capsule. The idea being that with his psionics, he was going to communicate and control the entity, and for whoever else would find them, he would pass this knowledge along. Nobody else came along, and there's a reason for that. Um, this was like 300,000 years ago, and the reason being there was supposed to be another droid expedition. The reason that they never showed up was because of the ancients, the battle of the gods, and so there were no droid to send out. They were busy, and so he sat there, his psionic intellect holding his mental state barely together, in contact with the entity, while his body died, and essentially it decayed, and the entity rebuilt it out of fungal matter. And these guys ran into him, and he imparted his information, I believe, to Bocephus, and then things got really fucked up, and the entity took control and started to go ape shit, and I forget. There was a lot of explosions, and there was a lot of there's a lot of areas of mass destruction. But these guys came back with this knowledge. So she was one of the prime people going over that evidence. And when Bocephus would, it took him several weeks to kind of, in fact, he's still dealing with trying to come up with some of the memories from that, because it was a direct psionic link to him. And so the initial reports went across her desk, and that she studied that and is still studying that quite deeply, and she tells you that she fears what the expedition might find at its destination, just looking at this. But at the same time, while she is scared of it, because and she readily admits that she was the only survivor of her previous crew with their brush with the entity, but she tells you that she can't help but be fascinated by the Deep Night entity.
I get that, like some things, terrifying as they may be, carry a heavy level of intrigue.
Make another recon plus intellect check.
Recon.
Oh, you definitely got that one. So
I know all.
So some of the stuff, um, you've read some of some of the reports in her jacket, and you've listened to, now she's got to know you, and she's kind of opened up a little bit, and she's still focusing her conversation on David Anderreich, but you're kind of overhearing it. Some of the things that she says aren't so much, um, they're not factual as they are speculative theory. And you're coming to the realization that a lot of her knowledge is her gut feeling and is wholly inaccurate.
Why do I feel it's inaccurate?
Well, I mean, you haven't had any real direct experience with the entity as of yet. You know to be careful of it, but it just seems like the stuff that you do know from Sarda and Bocephus, some of the things that she said are almost a direct countenance. Like she brings up that she thinks that bleach may actually work against the entity, or
Okay.
as you guys already know, that UV light will kill the entity. Or she'll bring up that a vacuum, jettisoning it into space could be a way of permanently containing it. Well, you know for a fact that that doesn't
That's
permanently.
not going to work.
No,
That is not going to work.
It just puts it into a stasis
Mm.
until
Until it gets back to
until it finds a world that is warm enough that it can then come back to life, right? And then it'll consume everything on that world. So I mean, it's, like I said, I mean, some of it is outright inaccurate, but a lot of her knowledge is more speculative theory based rather than factually knowledgeable.
Okay. Well, I don't want to dissuade in order to like shut down the conversation, because even through all of that, I might get some nuggets of information. So I don't want to like shut her down.
Right.
But I would be like,
interesting. What's this take on her?
yeah, but I'd be like that. But I'd be like, more or less, be like, okay, cool. Kind of curious to see what the space wizard says back to some of the stuff she says.
Okay.
And kind of just be like, I will point out, like, if I have directly like experiential stuff, I'm like, I wonder if the Deep Night entity maybe has different responses, because I've definitely seen it like go into stasis and come back after going into space. So not like you're wrong, but I make maybe it reacts differently at different times.
So she takes that rather than she doesn't take offense to it. She finds that very interesting, and she she gets up out of the tub and and
Are you wearing a suit?
yes, she is. She gets up out of the tub and she goes over to her locker and grabs a her mobile comm and like kind of sketches out like some notes about that.
Huh. And I say, I respect that. Not bothered by conflicting or new information. You might be a true scientist, aren't you?
She says, "Well, I do my best."
I'll keep that in mind. Might be able to exchange information in the future. Trying to, especially if she's got her ear to the ground and maybe has some of the other scuttlebutt that's going on, might be good to keep like her as an information source.
Right. Very, very good idea. Mel, make a Recon Plus intellect check.
That's better than my last couple rolls.
Okay, so you definitely hear this over the comms, and it's the reason why I had you make that check is because this is not related to you, but over the comms, you hear Jacobus. There is a call from engineering for Jacobus. Jacobus, we need you to go over and check the starboard side of mission module deck 2, somebody's complaining about a smell.
Sweet.
You?
And he's like, all right, I'll get on it. And of course, Yusef is all kinds of pissed off because now Yusef is now left to search through these containers when he originally had ordered what he thinks is an underling to do that for him, and so he's all kinds of pissed off. I think that is a good place for us to break for the night.
Okay.
Everybody, you guys got some really good role play and asking some interesting questions, making some interesting decisions. Everybody gets 1 XP point.
Yes, I needed that XP point. I did. I had 1 stockpiled to do exactly this. Because I was going to level up one of Pappy's skills.
Nice.
Yeah, I clearly need. It makes
I
sense.
was going to upgrade small craft to level 2.
That isn't a bad idea, yeah.
Nice.
I just took persuade.
Small craft to level 2. How do I get rid of this one?
I think persuade's a good skill for broker.
It certainly doesn't hurt to have, yeah.
Yeah, you can stockpile up to 4 points at a time. I would say 8, but gaining, gaining a skill level of 4, that's pretty, that's pretty tough.
You'd have to have a really good reason why.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's something that comes out of character creation, because at skill level 4, you've got people from across an entire sector of space that are coming just to you for that one skill ability that you've got.
As they should.
Right. And then you think somebody like Oppenheimer or Einstein would have like skill level 5. So.
Yep. You know what? I can't cook, but I can
point.
get us out of things with my spacecraft abilities.
That's okay. Sarda can cook.
That's my point on Advocate.
Next time I go into the mess hall, I'm just going to go to Sarda, like, Sarda, can you make this? And just hand them whatever I want to make.
Yes. Advocate is a good one, too. That deals with legal stuff, which...
After dealing with that coalition,
Yes. Yes. Okay, so just a reminder, we will be off next week. I will be out of town from the 7th through the 11th, so no game next week.
Rodeo.
Oh, you think you can travel and stuff, huh? Think you can just go and have a life, huh?
Yep. Going to the rodeo.
Are you guys officially involved in it somehow, or are you just going as a to watch?
No, just going to watch.
Gotcha.
I can ride a horse, but that's about
it.
There's
also a lot of other stuff that now goes with all those.
That's true. That's true. Well, my niece is. I guess she. This is her last year doing it. She is showing a pig at the fair,
nice.
And so,
Is she FFA or is that just?
She was. She's actually going to college for it too. So
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So.
So. One of the cooler things that they do here with the fair down south is that one of the towns, when they do their fair, their FFA, what you can buy in to getting like a hog, because they auction this off. And you're like, what the hell am I going to do with half a hog?
Right,
You know,
right.
I'm like, I don't need that. But what they'll do is they'll go, look, if you want to buy half a hog, that gives you this many tickets to our hog barbecue. And so that's what they do is they basically, you have the choice
Oh,
of
that's a
having
good
the meat
idea.
delivered to you, or what they do is they put on a giant barbecue, and if you buy an eighth of a hog, that might give you 16 tickets that you can give to people. And so then you go to that barbecue and it's just all pork
A
and,
lot of pork.
and then ice cream and everything else. And it's just a wonderful time. And it's really a smart way to do it because everybody wants to support your FFA friends and family, but at the same time, you're like, what the hell am I going to do with that pig?
Right, right.
So this worked out really, really well. You can just sort of jump in, you support the kids, and then they have a great barbecue that's a lot of fun to go to.
Yeah, that's
It's
a really cool idea. Yeah.
It's a smart way of doing it.
So
But
yeah,
have fun. Hopefully it won't be too hot.
it's gonna be
Yeah,
stupid
fun.
hot. I mean, they're expecting what was it between 100 and 108. So, you know,
They make those like wristbands and headbands that are that'll freeze like ice, and
that's true.
It's unbelievable how good that
I
can
might be able to wear that under my cowboy hat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, it's your blood circulating that cold. You know that you're
Yeah. Yeah, it'll cool you
Good
down.
one. I got to dip out. Y'all take care.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Have a good
all right,
night, man.
Take care. Have a good time.
All right. I will see you guys 2 weeks from tonight.
I'm gonna exit
That's
out
great.
this thing now.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Open. How do I close you?
Yes.
Hey, hang up.